Hi guys, this is Ryan. I was going to show y'all how I made this sword using only scrapyard materials. No forging required, and also it's got a Damascus pattern in it, which was an accident, but I'm going to show you how I did it. So stay tuned. Looking for anything I can use, I think. That might be good. I don't know if I'll use that smaller one. That would definitely make a good sword pommel. And grip that real well. It's about the right size. Here I am over at the steel section of the scrapyard. Some of these plates are just perfect, and this one's a little thin actually, but with a little cutting, a little shaping, I'm sure I can use a lot of this. This is what I come up with. A little bit of brass, and I tore this apart. This was one section, but really all I needed was this piece here, and I was going to try to put it in the bottom here. I thought this was interesting how the doorknob, it's already threaded and it already fits right up in there and will stick, but all I wanted was about this 4-inch section right here with the grips to it so it doesn't roll in the hand. I didn't find any good hand guards. Most of the time you can find a doorknob or something there you can use. I found these on a previous trip. They only weigh about a pound, and they're charging me $2 a pound, so that's about $2 right there worth of brass that I bought from them. And I got $4, which I spent today in this brass. Also did find some perfect sword pieces. Most of the time you won't find something that's just perfect and ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this plate here, which has the perfect thickness, but it's not the perfect shape, and I'm going to try to cut this for you, show you how I do it, and we'll see if we can use that. And somehow I'm going to try to piece all this together to make it very artistic and beautiful and maybe usable at the same time. So alright, I'm going to start out with the blade right here, trying to get it measured out the way I want it, or marked out. Could just put this piece on top, but since you most likely will not have something like that, I'm not going to worry about that. Let's see, I usually just eyeball it. Let's see, right here, 2, taper down somewhere right in here, 5. Let's see, there. Now I just got to keep it straight when I'm cutting it. Well, I kept it pretty straight, so that cut took me about 4 minutes and 30 seconds to make that. Alright, well it looks good. I've got some sharp edges right here from the cut, so I'm going to take those off real quick, and, so I can work with it without cutting myself. So what I'm going to do is just eyeball here about where the center is and kind of draw out my tip just a little bit. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we can work with a little bit after we use the table saw to cut these off, and we can grind it down a little bit and get it into shape. Not a perfect tip, not as sharp as I wanted, but I'm going to grind it just a little bit. It shouldn't take but a few minutes to get it ideal. Alright, well that's more of the tip I was looking for. Not perfect, but I'll work with it a little more after I start sharpening it. Alright, that's it.
Oi! Crikey, that put a crick in me back.
Yes, sir. I believe that will cut a pea or a carrot, Jenny. I'm going to attempt to get a fuller in it. This is probably one of the hardest things to do. Either you can buy a CNC machine, which costs a lot of money, or there's a couple different ways that I do it, and I'm going to show you one particular way. Just kind of eyeball it, get it in the center right there. Alright, break a tape here. And I'm going to line it up here at the tip of the blade and just make a mark down it. Take that off and make sure it looks centered. I've already got the other side marked, and I don't want the fuller to go down the entire length of the blade. I'm going to stop it about right here. Right in that area. It's just a piece of angle iron. You can use anything to keep it straight. Piece of wood, whatever you got. And I'm just putting this on here as sort of a guide. To see, this is going to keep me straight. I'm rolling it up and down, kind of getting it eye where it should be. And that looks pretty good. So it wanted to keep moving on me. I had to re-brace it a few times. It ain't gonna move now. If it does, well, now I'll be bracing it again. Well, that's how I started anyway. So I used a grinding wheel. This is a Norton grinding wheel. I think I paid like $3 for it. You can use a 4-inch or a 4.5-inch to grind your fuller, and it'll make a fairly rough fuller. I am going to use a sponge polishing disc in order to smooth that fuller up. You can also get some 600 grit disc from China, or you can use a wire wheel, which I don't use a lot of wire wheels. I just don't really like them. Maybe the idea that a wire is going to pop off and stick in my eyeball or something, I don't know. But I just don't. So, here's the fuller. Really rough, but you can see it's fairly straight. Straight enough. So let's get to polishing that bad boy out, shall we? I've still got scratches left, but in 4 or 5 minutes I got most of the scratches out. So I imagine in 10 minutes or so I can get it about the way I like it. Yeah. Anyways, it's not perfect. It took me maybe 16-17 minutes to do that, and I could have spent a little more time on it, but I'm not going to. So alright, I got a fuller in this side, and see, isn't it beautiful? Isn't it just lovely? What a pretty fuller. Okay. Yeah. And the other side, look how that looks. Beautiful. A work of art. Alright. Polished spongy pad to polish up the edges while I've got it on the grinder, so it'll look a lot more polished. Not trying to get it perfectly polished, just trying to get a lot of the scratches out of it. And I have to polish it up again anyways after I heat treat it. I can now figure it out. Yep, there goes that. Alright, still not coming out. Still not coming out. Yeah, that's how you miss it. That's
You really want this thing, don't you?
well, that was the plan. Get this out. I thought it was pop right. It's not coming. It's not coming out.
I'm trying really hard not to laugh because it's shaking the camera.
Hey, we got our bird back in there. Why don't you check it out for a minute?
I'm scared.
Nothing to be scared of. Unless she flies out and peck her eyeballs out.
Oh, I see her eyeballs.
Don't get too close now.
I'm trying to zoom, but there's not a lot of light. There she is.
Ain't nobody got time for that. I get back to work.
Maybe it's moving. Maybe it's moving. Hey. Oh. There was brass that went all the way through it. I just ripped it off. No wonder. Every once in a while you just gotta, do what you gotta do, All I want is about a 4-inch section. So I'm gonna try to cut it off right yonder. And yeah, something like that. So this is a digital caliber. Starts about $10 on Amazon. It'll give me an idea of, it's right at 1 inch on the inside. A little over an inch on the upper side. And that's just about perfect. This ruler is about 1 inch. So I'm going to try to use this for a guide for my handle. And I don't like to do a lot of measuring, so I'm going to do a little bit of eyeballing here. It looks centered. I'm just going to mark that off. When I cut it on the table saw, I'm going to try to cut it on the outside. Leave a little bit more if I have to grind it off to make this fit up on there. That's what I'll do. Yeah. I could squish it a little more, or I could do some grinding. I'm going to take off these edges right here. I think I'm just going to taper this end just a little bit. See if I can kind of force it up on there. It'll make for a really tight fit. rubber mount around here somewhere. I'm gonna have to take more off this edge maybe. Well, it fits. I don't want to go too far with it because I won't be able to get it back off there. May not be able to get enough right now. I'm just going to cut it right in here somewhere and see how it looks. I don't know exactly where I should be cutting it yet, so I'm just going to take off what I know I don't need. So I use a table saw to cut into that. Anything that's a little wider, you can always squeeze it to hold it together. I'm going to try to put a rivet or two right here on each side. And I thought about putting a centerpiece in, but probably what I'm going to do is just cut off part of this edge here. See if I can bring these together right here on top. And I want to bring it to the center line. I've got a dry erase here, so I can just, if I make a mistake, I'll just take it off. Let's see, to the center line right here. Give me a rough idea of what I need to do on that one. A little taller. Alright. Give it a little more character. I think I'll just, while I'm cutting these out, maybe cut out some marks in here. Alright. You want me to hold the camera, or do you want to stand over top and catch some shrapnel?
Well, I would prefer not to get injured. I also don't want you to get injured, and it looks kind of dangerous for you to be trying to hold it with one hand.
It's the worst that could happen.
Nice body parts.
Who needs those body parts? Well, God gave us two of everything.
Everything.
Well, you know, enough. little hot. Yeah, I gotta take those out. So I was going to use a brass brazing rod in order to rivet in the handguards, but copper is a lot more common. So I'm going to rivet. Here, 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 and here. Looks good to me. Alright, well, I changed my mind again. I was going to put 2 rivets right here, but I'm going to do just 1 rivet. I don't want to compromise the strength of this blade, and so I think when I do that 1 rivet and slide the handle all the way up on there and rivet the handle with the epoxy, it ought to hold everything still, so it should take the wiggle out of it. Try that. That may move it just a smidgen. But I'm going to try to clamp this piece as well.
You're trying to give me a heart attack.
No, I knew it'd do that, but I knew it did. Here, hold this. No, don't do
Yeah,
it.
I'm pretty sure my heart just stopped.
Oh, it's hot.
It gets hot that fast, that little piece.
You want to get it?
No, I'm good. I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm not believing you.
Ah! Woo! Okay, hold on now. I'll come back to you.
I thought you done cut off a finger or something.
No, all that thing does is burn you a little bit. It won't cut off your finger. Not completely. These are not copper cutters, but I'm not exactly sure where I've set them. Just putting a slot taper on that rivet so that I can get it through there a little easier. It's going to be a tight fit either way. Alright, it's in there. Well enough anyway. There we go. Little rivet technique. There we go. How you fix that?
So you just tightened it up on the rivet like it was a bit, and then
Drilled it through.
drilled it further through.
I keep messing with this thing. Alright, I've got to take these back off and heat treat the blade. You can pause it for now. Alright, I just got these two holes drilled here to hold in my hand guards for the rivets. I'm using one of them for a stainless steel piece. This is when I start heat treating this blade here in just a minute. I'm going to use this to pull it out. See, I've got it attached here. And I'm going to start heat treating by normalizing it. That's where you heat it up and then you let it cool down slowly. I'm going to do this 3 times in order to help. It helps prevent warping in the blade. And then on the 4th time I'm going to quench it off. I'm going to use water. The secret to that is you don't get it quite as hot as you would if you were using oil. And then I may heat it up again until I get a bluish tint in it, and then I'll quench it again, and that should take any brittleness out of it. Now, I'm not an expert and I've made mistakes doing this, but hopefully that's going to work. And while I'm heat treating this blade, I'm going to try to get this one too, because I've been putting off heat treating this blade. You can see where I started, and you know, I got lazy, so it is what it is. I probably shouldn't have left that piece on it. It's probably just going to hinder me a little bit. But that's all right. Well, I'd say the water's nice and warm. Probably about 100 degrees. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. Pretty straight. I didn't quench it twice like I was planning on doing. I did do the other blade twice, but this one I didn't get quite as hot as I wanted to, but I've been checking it, and it's definitely a hard blade. So I'm happy enough with the way it came out. So I'm polishing this back up. I like how some of the patterns look in it. I haven't really decided whether I want to polish them all out or not. But as I was standing here trying to get some of the scale off of it, I rubbed my hand up the side of it. And just so you know, there's proof positive. This is a sharp blade. It does cut flesh anyways. So yeah. So I think I've finished polishing it as much as I'm going to. I kind of like this pattern that come out on it, and I believe what happened was I was trying to heat up the forge, and I splattered some oil on it to help heat up the logs that were not on fire, and it got onto the blade, and that's what's giving us this pattern right here. But it looks really neat, so I'm going to try to keep that and not polish it all the way out. Hopefully when I put that handle up on there, that's going to brace everything where it's solid. And maybe I'll put some epoxy or something up under here while I still got it exposed. This ought to help the grip, keep it from collapsing. And these don't fit perfectly. This one's a little tight, but you can usually make them work. Gotta give it a little encouragement. I want to slide this handle down just, I got about 1/8 of an inch. I got to go a little further. Can't find the words. What's the words? What's the words? What?
Closer. Move it closer.
I got to move it closer. I got to fill the gap. I got to close the area. I got to, this, down, right here, this thing, downward. So, move. Yeah, all that. I'm starting to dent around the bottom of my handle, and I don't want that, so I'll put this piece of leather over it to cushion it just a little bit, and this here is going to provide the balance I need. So it should be up against it. Yeah, that's pretty tight. See how that's... Like I was saying earlier, my original thought was this would be a lot easier and probably more historically accurate if I just put this in here with a round pummel and riveted it right in and shorten that tang a little bit. But I wasn't going for easy. I was trying to be a little imaginative. So anyways, I was going to leave a little cut in there, a little spike like I got on this one, that I could just rivet that down with, maybe heat it up and knock it down to hold that on with, was my original thought. But I change my mind quite often, and so I'm going to try to cut it across there and just see if I can slide it up on there, and then maybe I'll hammer this down a little bit and add some sort of tin or something else to help bond it to it. So let's see how that works. And
Hot.
so that's probably not deep enough cut or wide enough. I don't know that that's gonna be right, but I might as well check it. We're here. So let's see if that goes on there. No, not quite. Not quite wide enough. It's gonna turn on now. Okay. Let's see. Ooh. Ooh, who fits on there very well? Yes. Yes, look at that. Yeah. Boy, it's a lot uglier when you turn it this way. Oh, I gotta get up. I gotta get that on there better. Let's see. Well, it's better. Not perfect. But I think I can squish those edges in just a little bit to where it'll match up a little better. You can still see the cuts, so maybe I went a little too deep, or maybe I haven't gone deep enough this way. So, try to hold that level, and then see if we can knock it level. And that looks pretty level. Looks pretty level to me. I want to try to hammer that tang down just a smidgen. All you country folk know what that means. And then fill it with something. You could use tin or solder if you got solder. Some epoxies might work. Or you could use lead if you're not afraid of the slight toxicity of it. I really want to get this tang widened out to where when I fill it with tin right here, that tin's going to grab on and there's no way it can pull back out. Okay, I'm already hurt enough, I think.
Yeah, don't play with fire.
Don't play with fire, kids. It burns you. Of course, you can't really do this if you ain't playing with fire. So ignore everything I just said.
Don't stick your fingers in fire.
You see what I see. I'm a great singer.
I'm not sure it was English though.
I hope this is enough, quick enough. Well, I think I'm just going to do this number right here, and then that way I can make sure that this is not leaving any gaps when it's melting in there. I may burn my wood slats just a little bit doing this, but I don't think it's going to create like a great Chicago fire or anything.
The flames turning green around the edge of the brass. It's pretty cool.
I think I quit while I'm ahead there.
Is the clay just to hold it in place while you're melting the solder?
I don't want the solder running through out on the blade.
Oh.
So I need something to kind of seal it off.
What is the borax for?
It'll help weld it into one piece. I'm going to give it some time to dry. Whatever. Solidify. Alright, I'm going to call that a finished blade. Looks pretty good. But now it's time to test it out. See how well it holds up. Well, cut it. Okay, so I cut through this old bamboo. Wasn't a perfect cut, but it's old and dry. This is tough stuff right here. You can see where it cut into the bamboo. Got about halfway. or a little less than halfway. The bit of edge rolling right there, but it's not bad. Let's see how well it does on this bone. Old, dry, rotten bone. Will it cut? I don't know. Well, it broke it for sure. It did a bit of blade damage too. Let's see where it rolled the blade edge right there. Didn't crack or fracture anywhere. What do you want to call him? Melvin? The melon?
Sure.
Anyways. I sentence you to death.
Oh dear.
Oh!
Cut off his ear, man.
I know it.
That's not...
That was a totally bad shot.
That's not humane. That's just torture. Mm-hmm.
Oh!
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can I keep the ear?
I guess.
You want to eat the ear?
No, I just want to keep it.
Alright, here we go. Ready?
What happened? I was behind Mama.
Now you have to throw it all into the...
Bunny cage. All except for the